The United States is our second largest trading partner, accounting for hundreds of thousands of workers who are employed here. The 600 US companies that are doing business in South Africa employ many people, and it is the interests of these many people that we as a government have to take care of before we engage in a war that may not yield the results that we want.
What's up, lovely people? I'm bringing you an amazing and interesting news today. And what are we going to talk about? We are talking about South Africa right now and what is happening to South Africa. South Africa's decades upon decades of trade ties with the United States is collapsing. And why is it collapsing? This is happening because of the recent trade sanctions and tariffs that the United States have imposed on South Africa, and it is bringing some kind of pressure to South Africa, so it is causing them to lean more towards the Asian countries. And this is not also happening to South Africa alone, it is happening to other Africans too as well, making and pushing them to move and lean more towards to countries like Russia, China, Japan, India, and many more. Why is this so? The more US treats South Africa as a burden, the more Asia opens its door and treats South Africa as a partner in trade and excellence.
So if one wants to play to the gallery, one could embark on the type of option that Honorable Malema is talking about, without knowing what outcome that option will have. Our option is informed by what we want to gain. And what we want to gain is to continue exporting to the United States as much as possible, and to enable companies also to invest in the United States, but to also get United States companies to invest in us. And we do have leverage, and our leverage has to do with, yes, the natural resources that we have, the minerals that we have, which the United States needs. The discussions that we are having now with the United States also revolve around that. The critical minerals that South Africa has and the capacity that we have to process those minerals with the energy backing that we have, which many other countries don't have, is something that we take to the table and use as leverage. So I'd like to say that it is a strategy that we have opted for, and a strategy of engagement, and a strategy which we believe will yield results, notwithstanding the fact that we are obviously dealing with a United States administration that at times is unpredictable and that at times just retaliates. And without being supplicants, without, going on bended knee, which we have never done and which we will never do. And we have said we will not be bullied. We will stand as a sovereign country and negotiate and get the best deal for South Africa. That's precisely what we're doing.
Why did all these happen, and why the sudden shift of South Africa away from the United States? For decades upon decades, South Africa established a trade agreement with the United States. It made South Africa enjoy a lot of trade preferences with America in the American market in a trade program called AGOA, African Growth and Opportunity Act. This whole program gives South Africa a bigger advantage in the US markets, to be able to export more into the US markets to generate more revenue. This whole thing has been, continuously happening, a lot of exchanges and all of those things. But then since Donald Trump, the US president, came to power, in April 2025, he imposed a 30% tariff on all South African exports, draining South Africa and putting South Africa in a very, very tight corner. This whole tariffs thing is said to be the heaviest and the harshest in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. And this affected heavily South Africa's automotive industry, infrastructure industry, manufacturing industry, and many more. Most of its industry was affected due to this. And because of all these things, because of this hurdle, a lot of trade and economic experts came and then started giving warnings that this could affect South Africa's economy and cost tens of thousands of jobs and slow down the economy eventually. So South Africa really had to do something about it. So what did South Africa put in place to, balance things for its own economy, to make sure that things are moving well and in order? Because of these tariffs, right, this will even erase the benefits of the AGWA, that is the African Growth and Opportunity Act. It will erase the benefits of it because South Africa is not really getting anything solid out of it. So it will end up erasing the benefits South Africa gets from it and also undo decades upon decades of trade relations and agreements. You get? So this is really, really solid, and South Africa was being put in a tight corner, in a sense being bullied. So they had to do something to counter and take care of their economy. South Africa started looking to more options, looking to re-establish itself as Africans' gateway to other countries. So let's look at some of the countries that South Africa really pitched to. So in Tokyo there was a meeting, not a meeting, I mean like a conference, right, that happened in Tokyo some few weeks ago, and even the president of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, even attended. And this whole conference was about trade and partnership and investments. In Tokyo, South Africa is treated differently compared to America, because in Tokyo, South Africa is treated as a partner in business and in so many ways compared to the US. The US makes you feel like, oh, you are a burden to them and that they are doing you a favor. So in Tokyo, South Africa is being treated as a partner, and South Africa's voice is being heard, where opportunities is shared among everybody equally. So in the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, into bracket TICAD for short, South Africa pitched itself as a destination for Japanese investment. One thing about African leaders is that they mostly, when they go to conference like this, most of the time they don't really pitch themselves as partners, or they don't really pitch themselves as destinations for investments. But they most of the times what they mostly do is they always go and then ask for money, to lend money, to borrow money, and all of those things, right? But because of the recent pressure from the youth, right, on development, on advancement, on all of these things, it is making them change their ways. And one thing I also noticed about the meeting was all the African leaders that were present didn't pitch themselves as, they need help, they need this, they need that, but rather they pitched themselves as business partners. Everybody has their own problems, and then they had to convince these investments in Japan to come into their countries, to come and help invest and develop their sectors, their industries, to help their economy grow. And this is really one thing that I've seen that it has been a spotlight in recent times when it comes to leadership in Africa. And this really has to be, applauded and noticed by African youth. Toyota even recognized South Africa that yes, true. They praised South Africa that South Africa's auto sector has been able to build Toyota's first hybrid car. In the process, the hybrid car has become the best seller for Toyota in the whole of Africa, proving to them that yes, when you invest in South Africa, when you come to South Africa, you have access to Africa's billions upon billions of consumer markets. Toyota's CEO praising South Africa served as a testament to South Africa's, partnership, making South Africa play a key role. So due to this, it has made Japan see South Africa as not just a partner but as a gateway to Africa's billions upon billions of consumer markets. Yeah, Russia to South Africa went there to meet with a committee in Russia to discuss trade, logistics, investment, tech, and everything. The deputy president of South Africa told Russian committee that, and I quote, "Once you are in Africa, you have access to a market of over 1 billion people all across Africa." Due to this, both sides agreed that they are going to expand cooperation through South Africa's logistic giant Transnet to help construct railways, ports, and many more, making South Africa to be able to fill in the gap, because if the United States, their biggest partner, is not willing to, help them, they'll go on to meet with someone else to fill in the gap because you're not being helpful. So in this case, South Africa has a lot of advantages over the United States. The United States will make it seem like South Africa was a burden to them, or they'll make it seem like, oh, South Africa doesn't really have a lot, or they don't have much to lose. But in the end, South Africa doesn't really need United States in this case, because they have a lot of options in terms of BRICS, that is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. It has put South Africa in a position where globally everybody wants to invest in, because it is the next, emerging economy, becoming more or less like the leader of all these emerging economies in Africa. Moving on to China. China was more into agriculture because, South Africa, when it comes to agriculture, is one of the biggest countries when it comes to agriculture sector. And China, normally they really take one product at a time in terms of trade negotiations, but this time around they took in 5 fruits. So what is it about? So South Africa is going to export 5 different types of fruits, from grapes to plums to literally fruits, basically 5 different kinds of fruits from South Africa to China in terms of these trade deals. And all of these things has given South Africa an unfair advantage, putting South Africa in a strategic position where more investors are being attracted to, and all of these things. So from infrastructure to agriculture to healthcare to logistics, literally everywhere, South Africa has an advantage over everything. So this will even help South Africa become a more diversified country, and it will even help more Africans within South Africa get more jobs, make a lot of money, and all of that. On the next episode, we are going to look at what Ghana also pitched at the Tokyo conference. So I'll see you guys. Just let me know what you think in the comment section about South Africa's moves, and I'll see you guys on the next one where we talk about Ghana. See you.